All right, guys, welcome to our Why Plexus Lunch and Learn, all about thyroid disorders and dysfunction. Wanted to just thank you guys, of course, for getting on over lunch again, but we're going to have a really exciting topic today. And the reason that this topic is so intriguing to me and so interesting is because when I first started Plexus, I actually had no idea what all was encompassing a thyroid disorder. I had no idea about it. Amber Perry was actually the first one of my potentials at that point that talked to me and said, hey, I've got, these thyroid issues, can you help? So it triggered me to go do a whole bunch of research and do some searches and figure out how Plexus could help her, if it could help her, and the rest is history. We have helped so many people improve their thyroid function over the 4 years that I've been with Plexus. And this actually affects a huge number of our audience. I was doing some research on it, and the American Thyroid Association estimates that 27 million Americans, just Americans, suffer with thyroid issues, thyroid disease of some sort. And what they also estimate is on top of that, 13 million people are currently undiagnosed with thyroid issues. So it's a really big topic that affects people, and women are actually 5 to 8 times more likely to suffer than men are. And so I invited Amy Welch to get on here today to talk to us a little bit about her history with Plexus and thyroid. And the reason I invited her in particular was because she was actually a complete stranger to me. The only reason that she tried Plexus was because I shared Amber Perry's story with her when we spoke on the phone that day. She didn't know me from anything, but sharing Amber's story and how I had personally helped Amber improve her thyroid function led to Amy even bothering to give this a shot. So take it away, Amy. I wanted them to hear a little bit about your history with Plexus in this.
Sure. Hey, guys. So I have been hypothyroid for decades, way before Plexus. And then after I had Adelaide 4 years ago, it also got worse, which is pretty common. It's really common for thyroid issues to develop when women are pregnant. Now, since then, many of you may know I also had a growth, but that's completely separate from my thyroid, even though now I only have one lobe. But when I was hypothyroid, I was on Thyroid, and I was completely fine with it. Back then, taking a prescription every day, I thought it was completely normal, and I was okay with taking that Thyroid, and I was okay with being hypothyroid. It kept my levels in check. But I was still exhausted and tired, and it's really common for people with thyroid disease to still have all of the symptoms because our synthetic thyroid, whichever one you're on, is only to keep your hormone levels in check. It's only to keep that thyroid functioning. So I would eat biotin like it was candy because my hair would fall out in the shower, and I lived on caffeine and naps, which again I thought was normal. But it gets to a point where you start missing out on life. You start not wanting to go out because you're too tired. You aren't really living on the weekends because I would sleep them away. And once we had Adelaide, I was not a present parent, especially when I would get home from work. I've not seen her all day because she's been in a daycare. I'd put her on the floor so she could play, and I would just watch her play, which was not the parent I wanted to be, right? I wanted to be down there on the floor with her, but I was just too tired. Even if I had stopped at Starbucks for my coffee, or back then I was also drinking big unsweet teas, I still was exhausted. And, that really took its toll. The other thing when you're hypothyroid that we all struggle with is weight gain. And you don't think it's really that connected to the hypothyroidism. You think once you get on your Synthroid, then, oh my gosh, all that stuff's going to go away. But it's a catch-22 with thyroid folks. We want to lose the weight. We try to eat healthy, but because of the hypothyroidism, we don't process glucose, so we crave carbs. So we put on the weight, but we're too tired to go to the gym. And it's just this vicious cycle. If you know anyone living with hypothyroidism, you probably see their posts where they're tired, they're taking naps, they're living on caffeine, they're sick of the weight. It's just a vicious cycle that you can't get out of. And many of us reach for those artificial things like the energy drinks, like the coffees, like the diet pills. I mean, I've tried all the crazy diets trying to lose that weight. I did not understand because nobody had ever talked to me. No doctor had ever talked to me about the connection to gut health and how really focusing on your gut can turn all of that around. And I know Cam's going to talk a lot more about that, but it really was just, I mean, I know we say life-changing a lot, but when you don't need naps and you wake up and you feel ready to live life, it really is a game changer.
Thank you. Yes, it is. I mean, just watching your transformation over the last couple of years has definitely been amazing. And it just, I mean, the power that we have to go out and impact all of these people that have this issue is such a big thing, and it's such a big deal. These products are really, really huge. So I want to kick it over to Cameron to kind of explain the why behind it and explain, you know, so you guys understand what these products are actually doing, why they're helping, and how you can talk to people about this. So Cam, go ahead and take it away.
Hey everybody, thank you, Amy, for sharing that. It's always interesting to think about how really when you put Thyroid in your body, which is a synthetic hormone, that it's really just putting those levels back, but it's not really taking away any of the symptoms, it's just keeping your thyroid going. The thyroid is a very important part of your body. It's a gland, and it's located right here. It's right below the Adam's apple. It looks kind of like a butterfly, and it wraps around your larynx, and it's a gland. It's part of your endocrine system, and it's responsible for making thyroid hormones and releasing them into the bloodstream to getting them to the distant organs of the body. And your endocrine system is a collection of glands that secrete hormones that in the bloodstream, and they're carried to distant organs. And hormones are part of a regulatory substance that are produced and transport to stimulate specific cell processes and tissues into action. And I was thinking about that. I love metaphors. I was trying to think of the best thing I could think of with what is a metaphor for all this. And I think about, like, I'm really into Game of Thrones. So, you know, when they take the pigeon and they put the messenger on it and they send it off, you know, I think testicles and ovaries, in case you're wondering. But yes, you can see right in the middle of the throat, that's our thyroid gland right there. And these are the rest of our endocrine system that it's producing hormones and sending these hormones to various parts of the body to stimulate action of the cells in different organs. So hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of just, it's their place. There's some in our brain, there's some in our throat, you know, we have our ovaries. So it's something that produces hormones. And our thyroid is important for metabolic rate, our fat metabolism, metabolic rate, our heart rate, digestive functions, muscle control, brain development, and bone maintenance. So you can see it's a really, really big deal. And many people with thyroid problems also have some sort of gut problems because it regulates that digestion. Your thyroid makes two hormones it's sent off into the system, T3 and T4. We'll keep it simple. And there's two different types of thyroid issue. One is hypo and one is hyper. Hypothyroid, otherwise known as Hashimoto's, it's an autoimmune disorder based on inflammation. And this causes people like Amy to gain weight, not be able to lose weight, to be tired all the time, to have a decreased appetite, but they're having a problem with carbohydrate metabolism, so they need that energy all the time. Hyperthyroidism is also called Graves' disease, also an autoimmune as well as based on inflammation. And those are people that have increased appetite, increased weight loss, they're jittery, they have heart rate issues. And with all these, it can make your hair fall out. It can cause different weird sleeping patterns. It affects a lot of part of your body. I know from my mom, she was in a clinical trial for her cancer that destroyed her gut lining, and it gave her thyroid problems. And before she knew it was happening, she would be shaking and jittery. She'd be really freezing cold and then really hot. Her hair was coming out in clumps. She would have to sleep all the time. And it's because her thyroid wasn't functioning. It wasn't producing these hormones like they should be. And the hormones that are made from your thyroid, T3 and T4, they're shown to really be responsible for protecting that gut lining. As we've talked about, our gut has a semipermeable lining, and you want it to be a barrier. So the T3 and T4 really help protect that gut lining from damage, and helps it repair. Your gut really, really relies on the thyroid for protection. I read that in Thyroid Pharmacist today. It was a big thing. Your gut really relies on your thyroid for protection. So when your thyroid's out of whack, your gut's out of your whack, which makes your gut out of whack, which makes your thyroid out of whack, and you're just in this cycle of not feeling better. And a lot of this is caused from inflammation from leaky gut. As we talked about leaky gut, it's when the junctions get inflamed and foreign objects can get into the bloodstream, causing your body to make an inflammatory response. And causing your body to have inflammation. It is also shown, as we talked about in Candida, we talked about how Candida can grow one of those arms and go along the gut lining and go into the gut lining and attach itself to immune cells. Candida can affect the function of the thyroid. So the gut health is really important to get that gut lining repaired and getting the bad guys out, because thyroid is very much affected with the gut. They're very much tied together. And again, generally, people with thyroid disorders also have a gut disorder. So working on that together is very important. But something new in the seminar is talking a little bit more about blood sugars. As Amy said, that they have a problem with glucose metabolism. Blood sugars is simply the amount of sugar in your blood. In your body, there's a measurement of how much your body really wants to have that blood sugar ratio. If it's too high, your body lets off insulin, which is our fat storage hormone, to bring that level back down. Or if it's too low, your body is trying to bring your blood sugars back to a normal level. And these wonky blood sugars causes inflammation in the body, which inflammation is the root of all disease. People with thyroid disorder generally have, the cells they have are generally slowed down and unable to produce and metabolize glucose like they were. There's a decreased level of glucose in the gut, as well as it slows down your body's response to insulin. So blood sugars are such an important thing with thyroid disorder because it has to do with your fat metabolism. So getting that back in check as well as the gut is very important. When your body lets off a lot of insulin, cortisol, which is our stress hormone, is released, and overabundance of cortisol causes damages to tissue. And when you have too much cortisol in your body, too much stress hormone, too much wonky blood sugars, this causes a shift in hormone production. As we learned about with mental diseases, when there's an abundance of something in your bloodstream that's not supposed to be there, like a protein, like that is going to produce for inflammation, your body is focused on that, and it's not focused on normal. It gets it out of whack. It's not doing what it should be doing because it's dealing with the problem. Your body is triggered to deal with the problem. So it's now shifting thyroid production. Your thyroid is not working as well because your blood sugars are out of whack and it's dealing with all this cortisol. Blood sugar spikes causes inflammation. And so that's why the Slim is very important, because obviously it helps with the fertilizer for the gut garden. It's going to help with fat metabolism. So people with thyroid disorders are already having issues with that. But keeping those blood sugars stable is going to help it from having too much cortisol and too much insulin produced in the body. So it's very key to talk to people with thyroid disorders and understand that the thyroid is taking a long time for your body to build up this inflammation and these issues to have your thyroid go out of whack. And in fact, when you have these, your body lets off these proteins and things for inflammation, it can attack these antibodies that are trying to save you from this autoimmune, can attack tissues in your body. So people with thyroid disorder could very well have damaged tissues that might take years to come back or not at all. It really depends. It's very important to understand with potentials and customers, ambassadors, that this is a process. Anything having to do with hormones like PCOS and things like this, it's going to take a really long time because there's a lot of things that are wonky in there that need to be fixed, from blood sugars to gut lining to leaky gut to candida. It all ties in together. That's why the triplex is incredible. You have the Plexus Slim, like we just talked about, stabilizing those blood sugars, stop that overproduction of insulin and cortisol, and get your body regulated on blood sugars and help with that fat metabolism, which is off in your thyroid. And the magnesium in our BioCleanse, we have seen over and over and over how important it is, but you need magnesium to help stabilize your insulin levels. So they play a role in each other, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about PCOS and hormones. But that magnesium is help with the conversion of insulin. So that's really helping your body, again, with fat metabolism, as well as toxin removal from the gut. And then we have our ProBio 5, which is going to go in there and pull those weeds out, put those seeds in there so those junctions can be healed, so the villi can be healed, and your gut is starting to perform better. And when your gut is performing better, it can take those thyroid hormones and do what they need to do with them, and signals back up to the thyroid that, hey, we're okay, let's start working. You want those signals to return back to normal, where the communication is like, we're good, we're good, we're good. So it takes time. So the triplex is incredible with that. Also, of course, the Ease, we talked about Ease for inflammation last time, how the Ease has 4 ingredients. 2 are enzymes that help break the barrier down in inflammation, and 2 are anti-inflammatories that help heal. So anybody with autoimmune should really start considering ease as soon as possible to work on that inflammation. But the vitamin is very, very important. We see that a lot of people with thyroid disorders have a thiamine deficiency, which is a B vitamin B1, and we use B1 to convert carbs into energy and to digest proteins and fats. So that's already off in our body. When you have thyroid disorder, your body's not converting things like it used to, your metabolism off. So you need that B1 to help stimulate that, because very generally people with thyroid disorder are deficient in vitamins. And our vitamin also has those polyphenols, which are antioxidants. So just really helping repair those damaged cells from free radicals and oxidative stress. And then those polyphenols will turn into prebiotics, and your body is using that. So continuously feeding, as well as just flooding your system with vitamins and minerals. When your gut lining is all out of whack, you're not absorbing nutrients like you used to. So you're putting nutrients back in the body, giving your body building blocks and tools to heal itself. And that's what's awesome about our X Factor Plus. One thing to know about people with thyroid disease, when you're doing your health consult on people, make sure to always ask what kind of medication they're on. If they say thyroid, you need to take a big step back and have a big talk with them, explaining that your thyroid, the problem that you're having has happened over time, and inflammation is built over time. So this is going to be a process. Same thing with PCOS. There's a lot of damage and wonky things going on in your body. You need to be committed and explain why. Show them this video and say, this is why. We have to really get in there and fix things. It's also very critical to partner with the doctor. Very often when people have thyroid disease, they're going in every 3 to 6 months to check their thyroid levels, because it's very delicate. If your levels are fine and then you've had a stressful scenario, maybe your levels are elevated and they have to decrease your medication or increase your medication. That recently happened with my mom. She went through a little stressful thing and she started getting the symptoms again. They took her numbers, and it's because they were too high, so they had to lower her dose for a while. And they do that very frequently. So with Plexus, it's important to tell them, you need to go to your doctor, because we're going to be healing. Your thyroid numbers are going to need to be adjusted. Go in and get that blood work done. Work with your doctor, partner with your doctor. We ain't scared. We know we have the tools, and they should partner with their doctor for good results and to make sure their body is staying as even as possible. But another thing to remember is absorption. With the chromium, which is a mineral in Slim, as well as magnesium, they're very, very powerful minerals, and they have the ability to wipe out and wipe clean different medications in your body. For me, when I had my surgery and I was on high doses of antibiotics, I had to wait 2 hours to take my magnesium, because if I took it too close, it will just wash out the effects of it. And this is critical for thyroid people. When I have somebody that says they have a thyroid problem, I say, how long did your doctor ask you to wait to take supplements? And I'm very, very adamant on making sure they call their doctor and ask how long they want to wait. Oftentimes, people with severe thyroid disorders need to wait around 4 hours to take the Slim, just to make sure the body has time to absorb the synthetic hormones, so the body can make sure and have that before they add something in that will wash that out. So that's the key thing to talk to your potentials and your customers and your ambassadors about, is making very aware of the absorption, allowing the body time to absorb the medication before they put powerful minerals in there that could possibly wash it out. There's so much to talk about with thyroid, and to get really dive in, and just, it's amazing to read the articles and see how the 2 hormones, T3 and T4, when your gut's disrupted, if it's not converting to different things that need to happen, since it's the carrier, so the hormones being sent to your gut lining, and if that's all out of whack because of dysbiosis, when you have too much bad bacteria versus good, you'll have that in your gut and it's not converting, it's not doing what it's supposed to be, it's not receiving the messenger, and that messenger is not activating a cellular process because everything is out of whack. So when people have thyroid disease, really, really empathize with them, because it is something very serious. It affects so much in the body. And having that off can affect almost all parts of your life, from hair loss to fatigue to metabolism to your heart rate. That's, these hormones affect your heart rate. And when people with wonky ones, they might have jittery, too much heart, or their heart rate might be too low. So it's a very serious deal. And it's an absolute blessing. And just this morning, I'm reminded again and again and again that Plexus has this right. And we have some tools to help people build that balance back in their life, get that healing and replace some things, and give some hope, so you're not just stuck in this way of life for the rest of their life. Giving people the ability to have their life back is quite the blessing. So Sarah, thanks for having me today. It's great to talk about these, and I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you, Cameron. The information that you just shared is just so empowering for everybody. I mean, when you are talking to somebody that has a thyroid disorder or thyroid dysfunction of some sort, I want you guys to be crazy, crazy confident in what we have to offer. We have the ability to truly, truly help them. But some of the common questions that I always get are, number one, what do we recommend to these people? Number two, how do they take our products with the thyroid medication, with Synthroid, whatever thyroid medication that they're on? And Cameron talked a little bit about that as well, but I just want to reiterate that point. None of us can say, hey, when to take this Plexus supplements. They must go back to their doctor and ask them. It's based on their doctor's recommendation about when they can take any sort of food or supplements after they take their Synthroid, for example. So it's whatever recommendation they gave, which could be 30 minutes, it could be don't wait any time at all, or it could be 3 hours. I've seen the whole gamut of those things, and it's very, very individual. So that's probably the number one question I get. Number two is, what do you start people on? Okay, so I always start my thyroid folks on the triplex, but then also X Factor. She also mentioned the E's, and I would probably add that in probably the second month. She might do it backwards. You can do it either way, but where I have seen most of my thyroid friends and folks that have come to me are desperate for weight loss, absolutely desperate for weight loss. And they're going to be asking you to take things like Accelerator or Boost, and that is the exact opposite thing that you want to recommend to them. But that's what they're going to go and look at on our website, on our list of products, and they're going to see weight loss, metabolism booster. I have low energy, I want the energy. They're going to want all of that, but that is the wrong thing to give them. And let me tell you why. Thyroid sufferers are very, very prone to adrenal fatigue, and that's going to exacerbate that problem, because Cameron spoke about all the extra cortisol and everything that's released into their system. They can easily get into a point of adrenal fatigue, and the Accelerator and the Boost are not recommended for those scenarios. What I have seen time and time again is every single time that we add in the X Factor to their regimen, they are getting weight loss. So that's when the point where everything starts to come together, because your body stops holding on to all those excess nutrients. They have an issue with absorption already because of all the thyroid issues. So that is my number one recommendation as far as that goes. Cameron, did you have anything else to add on top of that as far as the order between adding in E's and X Factor? I've done it both ways.
I would do X Factor. Just getting, most disorders have something that's caused, something wonky, that you're not absorbing nutrients, and your body, vitamins, minerals, all that are building blocks to our body, which needs to be healed. And a lot of times with weight, it's just our body's holding on to weight because it's confused. And so by healing and things like that, it's triggering our body to start acting normal and respond to the healthy eating and to the exercise and things like that. And I agree with you, just flooding your body with nutrients and balancing and stabilization before adding other things like E's, but thinking about E's pretty quickly.
Yes, and so somebody else asked about the block as well, and we know that iodine supports thyroid function. You guys, that needs to be run past a doctor, because some people with hyperthyroid absolutely cannot take it, and those with hypothyroid can be sent over to the other side with too much iodine, because it does increase thyroid function, but sometimes that's not what your doctor is going to want to have happen. So definitely run that past your doctor, especially dosage. If you decide to get on it, that's not one to just on a whim decide to get on. You definitely need to have doctor approval. And like Cameron has said multiple times on this, we need to have people being constantly monitored, because the ranges your health can go up and down with it, and the ranges can go up and down with it. So it does need to be constantly monitored with the mixture of products and the mixture of Synthroid. And we've had a lot of people at the end of the day be able to get off of their synthetic thyroid medication, which is huge. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and please let us know. I'm going to kick off the recording now and see if you guys have any questions. And I apologize that I got kicked off partway through there. So there are going to be 2 recordings that I'm going to try and figure out how to merge after this, but for some reason my computer kicked me off. So I'm going to go ahead and